What if the most powerful farming techniques on Earth weren't invented last year in a lab, but thousands of years ago by people who had no choice but to get it right? There's a method developed in the scorching deserts of the Middle East that makes crops thrive without irrigation. A planting system perfected by indigenous Americans that eliminates the need for fertilizer entirely. And a soil-building secret so effective that the land it created is still more fertile today than anything modern agriculture has managed to produce. We gave up these systems in the name of industrial progress, and now, as soils collapse and water runs dry, the world is quietly turning back to them. Today at Evergreen Home Living, we're uncovering 10 ancient farming secrets that didn't just feed civilizations, they built them. And every single one of them can be put to work in your garden right now. Item 1. The Three Sisters, Mesoamerica, 1000 BC. Long before synthetic fertilizers existed, the indigenous peoples of Mesoamerica had already solved the problem of soil depletion, not with chemistry, but with companionship. The Three Sisters planting system, developed by the Haudenosaunee and other Native American nations around 1000 BC, combined corn, beans, and squash into a single planting guild, so perfectly designed that it seems almost impossible it emerged from observation alone. Corn grows tall, providing a natural trellis for bean vines to climb. Beans, as legumes, fix atmospheric nitrogen directly into the soil, feeding the corn and squash. Squash spreads wide along the ground, its massive leaves shading out weeds, sealing in moisture, and keeping the soil cool. Each plant gives what the others need, and takes only what it can spare. When Spanish colonizers arrived and witnessed fields planted this way, they couldn't explain why indigenous harvests outperformed European monocultures season after season without amendment. The answer was right in front of them. Modern permaculture designers have since proven what indigenous farmers knew intuitively. Three Sisters plots produce higher combined yields than the same space planted to any single crop, all without a single bag of fertilizer. This isn't agriculture, it's ecology, and it works just as beautifully in a backyard raised bed today as it did in Mesoamerican fields 3,000 years ago. Item 2. Terra Preta, Amazon Basin, 450 BC. While the Three Sisters fed civilizations above ground, the most astonishing agricultural discovery in history was happening beneath the surface of the Amazon. In the 1950s, researchers began noticing something that defied explanation. Scattered throughout the rainforest were patches of soil so dark and so extraordinarily fertile that they stood in total contrast to the surrounding earth, which, like most tropical soils, was thin, acidic, and nearly useless for farming. Scientists called it Terra Preta, Portuguese for dark earth. Analysis revealed it was deliberately engineered. Ancient Amazonian peoples, somewhere around 450 BC, had created this soil by mixing charred organic material, bone, compost, and manure into the naturally poor ground. The result was a living soil amendment so powerful it regenerates itself. Plots of Terra Preta, identified today, over 2,000 years after they were made, are still measurably more fertile than any surrounding land, without a single modern input ever being added. The charred material at the heart of the process is now called Biochar, and it has become one of the most discussed soil amendments in sustainable agriculture. It doesn't just add nutrients. It creates a porous carbon structure that holds water, houses beneficial microbes, and essentially turns poor ground into permanent growing infrastructure. The tragedy is that this secret sat undiscovered under the Amazon for millennia while the world poured chemical fertilizers onto dying soils. The ancient solution was always there, waiting in the dark earth. Item 3. Qanats, Persia, 1000 BC. High in the arid foothills of ancient Persia, where rainfall was scarce and the land stretched dry for miles, engineers developed a water delivery system so elegant in its design that it required no pumps, no electricity, and no maintenance beyond periodic cleaning, and delivered fresh water to farms and villages for over 3,000 years without fail. The Qanat is a gently sloping underground tunnel, hand-dug from an upland water source downward toward farmland at a precise gradient that allows gravity to do all the work. It travels entirely underground, shielded from the sun, losing almost nothing to evaporation. At the farm end, the water emerges cool, clean, and continuous, even in the driest summer months when surface rivers had long since stopped flowing. At its peak, the Persian Qanat network irrigated entire civilizations. Iran alone still has over 30,000 functioning Qanats, some of them over 2,000 years old, still carrying water today. UNESCO has recognized them as a masterpiece of ancient engineering. And what makes this relevant to any backyard grower is the underlying principle. Passive, gravity-fed, underground water delivery eliminates the two biggest problems in hot climate gardening: water loss and surface evaporation. Modern adaptations using buried clay pipes and swales operate on the exact same principle. The Persians didn't fight the desert. They simply redirected what was already moving beneath it. ITM-4, Waru raised files, and in 1000 BCC. High in the Andes of South America, where altitude, drought, and killing frost made agriculture seem impossible, the Tiwanaku civilization engineered a landscape solution so sophisticated that modern engineers spent decades trying to understand how it worked, and then spent more years trying to convince farmers to use it again. Waru, or raised field agriculture, transformed the flat floodplains of Lake Titicaca into a vast network of elevated planting beds separated by canals filled with water. The geometry was the genius. During the day, the water in the canals absorbed solar heat. At night, when Andean temperatures plummeted below freezing, the canals released that stored warmth as a slow thermal buffer, protecting crops from frost in an environment where frost was a near-nightly reality. The canals also provided a continuous source of irrigation water, and the aquatic plants and sediment that built up in them were periodically dredged and spread onto the raised beds as rich, organic fertilizer. When Bolivian researchers reconstructed experimental Waru plots in the 1980s alongside local farmers, the results stunned the agricultural community. Potato yields on reconstructed raised fields exceeded nearby conventional plots by up to 3 times, with no chemical inputs. An ancient system abandoned for centuries under Spanish colonial rule had outperformed modern methods simply by working with the physics of heat, water, and soil. Local communities have since revived it. The Tiwanaku knew something about their landscape that took the modern world 2,000 years to rediscover. ITM-5, Mesoamerica, 2500 BC. From the raised floodplains of the Andes, we move north to the forests of Mesoamerica, where another civilization quietly perfected a land management system that sustained continuous agriculture for millennia without ever depleting a single acre of soil. The Milpa cycle is one of the oldest and most misunderstood farming systems in the world. For centuries, colonial observers dismissed it as primitive slash-and-burn clearing. What they were watching was actually a precisely timed rotation system more sophisticated than anything European agriculture had developed. In the Milpa cycle, a forest plot is cleared and cultivated, usually with the Three Sisters combination, for 2 to 3 seasons. Then, rather than being pushed further, the land is deliberately rested and allowed to return to forest for 8 to 10 years. During that fallow period, the forest does what forests do. It rebuilds topsoil, fixes nitrogen, restores microbial life, and sequesters carbon. When the cycle returns to that plot, the land is richer than when it was first cleared. The Maya sustained populations of millions across their territories using this system for over 4,000 years. No soil exhaustion, no desertification, no collapse from agricultural failure, at least not from this method. Modern agroforestry researchers studying Milpa plots have confirmed what the Maya understood empirically. Managed forest, fallow, is the most effective soil regeneration tool ever devised. It asks only one thing that industrial agriculture has never been willing to give: patience. ITM-6, Zuni Waffle Gardens, American Southwest, 1000 AD, deep in the desert southwest of North America, where the Zuni people farmed some of the most unforgiving land on the continent. A brilliant solution to the twin problems of desert heat and water scarcity took shape one adobe border at a time. Zuni Waffle Gardens earned their name from above. The landscape of small square planting beds surrounded by low earthen walls creates a pattern that from a distance looks remarkably like a waffle, iron pressed into the desert floor. But the function is anything but simple. Each small compartment, typically just a few feet square, is individually flooded during irrigation, holding water within its earthen borders long enough for it to seep slowly into the root zone, rather than running off across the surface. In a landscape where every drop of water is precious and flash rains evaporate almost as fast as they fall, the waffle grid captures and retains moisture with extraordinary efficiency. The low walls also moderate soil temperature, slow wind erosion, and create microclimates within each cell that protect seedlings from the brutal desert sun. When the University of New Mexico studied Zuni waffle gardens against conventional irrigation methods in comparable conditions, the waffle system used significantly less water to produce equivalent yields. The Zuni had engineered a solution to desert agriculture using nothing but earth, observation, and time. Today, water-wise gardeners across the American Southwest and in arid regions worldwide are reviving the waffle garden principle, discovering, as the Zuni knew all along, that in the desert, the shape of the ground is just as important as what you plant in it. Item 7. Korean Natural Farming, 14th century. From the engineered desert landscapes of the Zuni, we cross an ocean to the mountainous forests of Korea, where a farming tradition developed quietly over centuries that would eventually challenge the fundamental assumptions of modern agricultural science. Korean natural farming, formalized by master farmer Han Kyu-cho in the 20th century, but rooted in practices stretching back to the 14th century, is built on a single radical idea that everything a plant needs to grow already exists in the immediate environment, and the farmer's job is to activate it rather than import it. The system centers on fermenting locally gathered indigenous microorganisms, bacteria and fungi cultivated from the edges of undisturbed forest soils, and applying them to cultivated ground to restore biological complexity that modern tilling and chemical use has destroyed. To this is added a series of fermented plant and animal inputs. Fermented plant juice made from young, rapidly growing plant tissue, water-soluble calcium from vinegar-dissolved eggshells or bones, and lactic acid bacteria cultivated from rice wash and milk. Every input is made from materials already present on or near the farm. The results reported by practitioners across Hawaii, the Philippines, Korea, and increasingly the United States have drawn the attention of soil scientists who once dismissed the method entirely. Farms transitioning to Korean natural farming inputs report soil biology recovering to levels that synthetic programs cannot replicate at any price. The oldest observation in Korean agriculture, that healthy soil is a living community, not a chemical medium, turns out to be something modern science is only now beginning to measure. Item 8. Chinampas, Aztec Mexico, 1200 AD. Some agricultural achievements are so extraordinary that even the engineers who study them struggle to believe they were accomplished without modern tools. The Chinampas of the Aztec civilization, often called floating gardens, though they were neither floating nor purely gardens, represent perhaps the single most productive land use system ever developed in the pre-industrial world. Built in the shallow lake beds surrounding the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan, Chinampas were constructed by layering alternating beds of aquatic vegetation, lake mud, and soil into long rectangular platforms anchored by willow trees, whose roots bound the structure together. Canals between each platform provided water, transportation, and a continuous source of nutrient-rich lake sediment that was dredged and dry spread onto the planting surface each season as fertilizer. The result was agricultural land that was simultaneously irrigated, fertilized, drained, and thermally buffered by the forests around water, land that Aztec farmers could plant year-round, harvesting multiple crops from the same plot in a single season. At their peak, the Chinampas fed a city of 200,000 people from an area of roughly 12 square miles of reclaimed lake bottom. Spanish conquistadors arriving in Tenochtitlan described the Chinampa landscape as the most beautiful and productive agricultural site they had ever witnessed. Today, the remaining Chinampas of Xochimilco outside Mexico City are designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Still farmed, still impossibly productive, and increasingly studied as a model for urban food production in water-adjacent cities worldwide. Item 9. Seed selection and landrace farming, global, 10,000 BC. For 10,000 years before plant breeders existed, farmers were already doing something that modern plant science is only now recognizing as a form of biological genius. Landrace farming, the practice of saving seed from the strongest, most adapted plants in each harvest and replanting them the following season, created crop varieties so precisely tuned to their local environments that no modern hybrid has ever fully replicated their resilience. A landrace variety is not a fixed, stable variety in the modern sense. It is a constantly evolving population of plants, shaped season by season by the specific pressures of its home environment. The particular pathogen pressures, the rainfall patterns, the soil, chemistry, the temperature extremes. A wheat landrace grown in the same valley for 500 years doesn't just grow there, It has been progressively selected, generation by generation, to thrive precisely there and nowhere else. Its genetic diversity is a survival strategy, not an accident. When disease strikes, some individuals survive. When drought hits, different individuals carry forward. The population adapts. The tragedy of the Green Revolution was not that it increased yields. It did spectacularly for a generation. The tragedy was that it replaced thousands of locally adapted landrace varieties with a handful of high-input hybrids, erasing genetic diversity that had been assembled across 10 millennia of careful human observation. Seed libraries, indigenous seed keepers, and organizations like the Svalbard Global Seed Vault are now working urgently to preserve what remains. Every gardener who saves seed from their best plants is continuing the oldest and most essential agricultural practice in human history. I-Team 10, Agroforestry and Food Forests, Global, 7000 BC. Our journey through ancient agricultural wisdom ends not with a technique, but with an entire philosophy of farming that may be the most important idea in agriculture today, and the oldest one we abandoned. Food forests, or multi-layered agroforestry systems, were not invented by modern permaculture designers. They were the dominant form of managed food production across the tropics, the Pacific Islands, West Africa, and large parts of South and Southeast Asia for thousands of years before colonial agriculture cleared them away. A food forest operates across 7 distinct vertical layers: a canopy of tall fruit and nut trees, a subcanopy of smaller fruiting trees, a shrub layer of berries and nitrogen-fixing plants, and herbaceous layer of perennial vegetables and medicinal plants, a ground cover of edible sprawling plants, a root layer of tubers and bulbs, and finally a vertical vine layer climbing through everything else. Each layer produces food. Each layer supports the others. And because the system mimics the structure of a natural forest, it requires almost no external inputs once established, no irrigation beyond rainfall, no fertilizers beyond the system's own leaf, litter and biological cycling, and no tillage that would disturb the living soil web holding it all together. The food forest systems of Morocco's Atlas Mountains, Kerala's home gardens in India, and the traditional forest gardens of Papua New Guinea have fed continuous human populations on the same land for over 7,000 years without soil collapse. Modern agriculture has managed about 70. The secret was never really a secret. It was visible to anyone who looked carefully at what a functioning forest does and asked a simple, radical question. What if the farm looked more like that? The story of these 10 ancient farming secrets isn't a story of what we lost. It's a story of what we chose to ignore and what we now have the knowledge, the tools, and frankly, the necessity to bring back. Civilizations didn't rise because they fought against nature. They rose because they learned to work within it with extraordinary precision. Chinampas fed empires. Terra Preta outlasted every empire that made it. The three sisters kept nations fed without a single bag of fertilizer. These systems aren't relics. They're instructions, written in soil, water, and seed, that are more relevant today than at any moment since they were first discovered. Which of these ancient techniques do you want to try in your own garden? Are you already using any of them? Tell us your story in the comments below. If this episode opened your eyes to what's possible, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who thinks modern agriculture has all the answers. This is Evergreen Home Living, signing off.